Like many of you, I was raised a Christian. As a young person in the Presbyterian Church, where I was eventually confirmed as a teenager, and after a long pause in the Methodist Church, where Laura and I raised our children and returned for a time in midlife to friends and connections. So the ethical and emotional setting of Christianity resonates in my deepest places, even as I became increasingly uncomfortable with the notions of original sin, personal salvation, or Christ's deity and resurrection. The notion of a final judgment or a second coming seemed especially bizarre. 15 years ago, Laura and I were drawn to the Unitarian Church, first in Washington, D.C., and now in Philadelphia, where we've been members of the church for 5 years. Something about the openness and social commitment of these Unitarian congregations drew us in, not to mention their musical emphasis. But as Yeats the poet captured so well 100 years ago at the end of the First World War, there are times in human history when civilization seems on the verge of a major pivot, when big changes and big choices are made by multiple societies. If not the second coming of a savior, then perhaps another chance to set human history on a different course. It feels like such a time now, when global warming and climate volatility pose existential challenges as never before, when the pandemic has exposed both the best and the worst of human abilities to cope with a global crisis, and when the very basis of governance, justice, and representation is in question. In the back of our sanctuary, the newly restored stained glass window depicts the prophet Isaiah by John Lafarge. And we may rightly wonder what prophetic symbol it might represent for us in our own time. Will this second coming be a second enlightenment when human reason and solidarity save our civilization? Or a new darker age, when we descend as a species into fractious disagreements and conflict, and when primitive notions of identity, freedom, and patriotism undermine our ability to cope together? And if God is not in charge and our future is not determined, what should we believe in? In what should we put our deepest faith? I'm not sure. But here's my best attempt at an answer. From time to time, I have to check to see what I believe about the basic issues of existence. To speak of faith for me is not just what I can conceive, but what I seem to act on with persistence. For unlike those whose faith is both developed and devout, my fitness as a witness is in question. My faith consists of ignorance, uncertainty, and doubt, though swayed by pastors' powers of suggestion. I don't know whether God exists or whether I should care. The point of God continues to confound me. For if I bow my head in prayer, I don't feel something there, except for any other souls around me. Or if there is an audience, it's passive, not engaged. My thoughts are not celestial supplications. Nothing empathizes, intervenes, or gets enraged. My prayers are like reflective meditations. So even if the universe was destined and designed, and if some higher power was behind it, it feels as though the CEO had long ago resigned, or made the earth, but now can't seem to find it. As if God set us ticking like a carton full of clocks, the crux of some omnipotent idea, but then forgot to put all the instructions in the box, or left out crucial parts, unlike IKEA. It may be that a few of us, through careful contemplation, achieve a stance much closer to objective. But even Albert Einstein, who summed up our situation, could not abide a quantum-proved perspective. Perhaps, as Homo sapiens, we cannot comprehend. Our senses and our reasoning insufficient. Instead, we must invent, suppose, imagine, or pretend, mere mortals at the whim of the omniscient. There is no moral arc that disciplines our universe or bends our cultures closer to perfection. We may progress, but also we can throw things in reverse, depending on some faulty misdirection. Certainly, despite our whims, we can't define the terms of how we gain the glory or a pardon. As Martin Luther used to say, we're not much more than worms, set loose in one small corner of the garden. In fact, to me, it's crucial that we see our situation as being, as a species, on our own. The universe is not benign and offers no salvation, and angels won't protect us. We're alone. No judge of final fairness sifts the losers from the winners, and innocents too often feel the fire. While all around are hypocrites and narcissists and sinners, some of us in hiding in the choir. One life is all the time we get to learn of arts and science. Oneself is what we shape before we die. But as Ralph Waldo Emerson expressed as self-reliance, the point is not to whimper, but to fly. To see our cosmic circumstances as an open chance to learn and build and savor moose and mango. A groundless, boundless gift to make some beauty and romance. And that takes many more than two to tango. We need lots of each other and those souls who've gone before us to sort out what is true and what is right. To transpose our performance from a solo to a chorus and help each other make it through the night. Of course we cherish children, love our families and our friends, and partners that we're privileged to find. But we need certain places where our comfort zone extends beyond the safest slice of humankind. And that includes our neighborhoods, our country, and the globe. Our future now depends on our connections. For whether God is testing us the way he tested Job, our journey needs some major course corrections. We must engage with empathy and compromise and charity, and not just fences, force, or firepower. The only lasting path to peace is human solidarity, the one and only source of higher power. And so it may not matter how you calculate the odds of whether we're just pins on holy charts. For whether our agenda is humanity's or God's, in either case, we act out human parts. I believe whatever God we're capable of seeing, when you strip away the hocus pocus, is what we faintly fathom through another human being. So that is where our energies should focus. We aren't given time or wits before our final landing, given our existing limitations, to comprehend those truths that still surpass our understanding. We're left with just our best approximations. For these, we need strong networking, not refuges or severance. Division just might be our fatal flaw. We need to groom collectively those elements of reverence, humility, tranquility, and awe. That is why we should commit to covenants of care, communities connecting one another, and give to churches like this one our money, time, and flair to build closer connections with each other.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.